Imagine a super busy Philippine BPO company handling some major customer service accounts. Right there on the main operations floor, you've got hundreds of reserved computer stations for the regular day shift agents. These seats guarantee that everyday baseline operations run perfectly smoothly. But what happens during a massive holiday sale? Suddenly, call volumes spike uncontrollably. To handle this surge, the operations manager doesn't go out and buy a whole new building. No way! Instead, they keep a stack of emergency folding chairs and backup laptops safely tucked away in a storage room. They quickly pull these out to accommodate the extra agents just for the rush, making sure literally no customer calls are dropped. And once that holiday madness ends, those folding chairs go right back into storage.
So in the world of cloud security, we actually use this exact same logic. Think of your guaranteed reserved BPO seats as your provisioned SCUs. These are the dedicated resources you set up well in advance to handle your everyday baseline workloads. On the other hand, those emergency folding chairs kept in the back room, those are your overage SCUs. These are extra on-demand resources that automatically activate only when your security team experiences sudden, unexpected spikes in activity. By keeping these two types of resources separate, you ensure you always have enough power for daily tasks while still keeping a safety net for sudden surges. And the best part? You're doing all this without paying for emergency chairs you aren't actively using. You might be wondering, what exactly is an SCU? Well, it stands for Security Compute Unit. In official Microsoft terms, it's the standard measure of computing power allocated to a Security Copilot workspace to process prompts and workloads. Basically, every single time a security analyst asks Copilot to analyze a complex incident or generate a detailed report, it costs a little bit of computing power. As an admin, your ultimate challenge here is the art of balancing this SCU allocation. You absolutely want to optimize costs so you aren't paying for idle processing power. But you also have to ensure performance requirements are met so your analysts aren't stuck staring at a loading screen right in the middle of an active cyber attack.
Now, to manage these units effectively, you really have to understand the rules of the floor. First up, SCUs cannot be shared between workspaces. Second, a workspace is available and overage SCUs operate completely independently of one another. So, can your different workspaces share these chairs? The answer is a strict no. There's absolutely no cross-workspace contribution allowed. This is incredibly important from both a security and a performance standpoint. If your Security Operations Center workspace gets absolutely slammed with a massive incident response surge and exhausts all of its allocated computing power, your compliance workspace cannot simply step in and donate its unused capacity. This strict isolation ensures that a sudden workload spike in one department cannot accidentally degrade the performance or cause throttling in another.
To keep an eye on all this and track exactly how fast your teams are using their seats and emergency chairs, you'll use the Usage Monitoring Dashboard. You'll find this right in your owner settings. Think of this dashboard as your command center. It provides crystal clear visibility into up to 90 days of historical capacity trends. It gives you a highly detailed breakdown showing exactly how many provisioned units were used versus how many overage units were triggered. Honestly, this takes all the guesswork out of capacity management, allowing you to clearly see which specific workspace is consuming your computing resources. When you're looking at that dashboard, you aren't just staring at random numbers. You're actively searching for specific usage patterns. Microsoft defines 4 key patterns you need to recognize and act on. If your dashboard shows you constantly running at sustained near capacity, meaning your utilization is consistently over 90%, it's time to permanently increase your provisioned SCUs. On the flip side, if you have a low baseline consistently sitting under 30%, well, you're paying for empty seats. Go ahead and scale your provisioned SCUs back. Now, what about those folding chairs? If you notice frequent overage activation, where those overage chairs are being used more than 20% of the time, it's actually much more cost-effective to convert that overage into standard provisioned SCUs. And finally, for predictable spikes, like your quarterly audits, simply increase your overage temporarily right before the period begins. If you're sitting for the SC-500 exam, absolutely memorize these thresholds. Microsoft loves to test your ability to match these specific indicators with the correct cost-saving actions. But what happens if things go off the rails? What if you ignore the dashboard and completely run out of both reserved seats and emergency chairs? Well, exhaustion leads directly to throttling. When both your provisioned and overage SCUs hit zero, Security Copilot will forcefully throttle new requests. Your users are going to be met with an error indicating that capacity is simply unavailable, and all new requests will be paused until the start of the next billing hour. This causes a hard stop in productivity. Imagine a critical cyber attack happening, and your analysts are entirely locked out of their AI tools until the clock strikes the next hour. No way you want that on your watch. That is exactly why monitoring those utilization trends and adjusting capacity way before hitting your limits is absolutely critical. So, if your trends show you're heading toward a limit, you need to adjust your capacity. The steps to do this are pretty straightforward. You just pop into your owner settings, go to Security Compute Units, select Change, update your numbers, and hit Save. Easy, right? Actually, scratch that. The most important part here isn't the clicks, it's two vital caveats you need to write down for the exam. First, you must hold the Azure contributor role to even make these capacity changes in the first place. Second, do not expect instant results. These capacity allocations are not immediate and can take up to 30 minutes to fully kick in. You have to plan ahead so your team isn't left waiting around during an emergency.
Sometimes, though, you don't just need to tweak the numbers. You need to assign or switch capacity resources entirely. You'll handle this via the Manage Workspaces page. Now, the primary rule to remember here is that compute capacity can only be assigned to one workspace at a single time. Let's say you have capacity currently powering a sandbox environment, and you want to use it for an active investigation workspace instead. You cannot share it between the two. You must completely disassociate it from the sandbox workspace first before you can assign it anywhere else.
And that brings us to a really critical operational difference: disassociating versus deleting capacity. Let's think back to our BPO analogy one last time. Disassociating capacity is like pausing a telemarketing campaign and locking the door to that specific operations room. The workspace becomes non-functional and you stop getting billed for it, sure, but all the data, the desks, and the records inside are safely saved. You can easily assign capacity back later and just unlock the door. Deleting capacity, however, that is like permanently bulldozing that office floor. It removes the resource entirely and ceases billing, yes, but it also means the room and everything inside it, all your session history, feedback, and workspace-specific data, is permanently lost and absolutely cannot be undone. Because deleting capacity is such a destructive and permanent action that wipes out vital security session history forever, it is heavily restricted. While an Azure contributor can change capacity amounts, they absolutely cannot delete it. A security administrator role is strictly required to permanently delete capacity. So as you prepare for your SC-500 exam and step into real-world cloud security, ask yourself, are your access controls strict enough to prevent an accidental bulldozer from wiping out your most critical data?